evening, everybody. My name is Nana Akosia Kunidwa Santi Samuels, and this is The Hard Truth. Now, despite Ghana's good governance and democratic credentials, corruption still remains a cancerous tumor in our society. We've heard our leaders time and again indicate their willingness and commitment to fighting this canker, but has these commitments really bore any fruit? With the launch of the National Anti-Corruption and Transparency Week on last Monday, one is forced to wonder where we've got into as a country in rooting out corruption. Despite several anti-corruption initiatives by successive governments, corruption is still on the rise. Could it be that our leaders failed, or we all are to blame? To discuss these and more, I have with me Honorable Kodwo Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency and Vice Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Parliamentary Affairs Committee. And this is The Hard Truth. Welcome to The Hard Truth, and I have with me here Vice Chairman for Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, and he is Honorable Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency. And today is his birthday. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to The Hard Truth.
Thank you.
Your birthday isn't then?
Oh, my cryptocurrency birthday.
No party, nothing, and some champagne, and I need to come
in the
best weekend.
Munjino.
Why you look so well, sir. And then thank you so much again for coming.
Thank you very much.
Honorable, corruption remains endemic in Ghana despite the wide array of measures pursued in the past to control it. How far do you think we have come as a country in the fight against corruption?
Thank you very much. I think I must borrow the words of President Kodwo. When faced with reality, he had to confess that corruption is as old as humanity. And probably if I take you to the Acts of the Apostles,
right, we
see the action of Ananias and Sapphira when, without compulsion, they themselves had sold something belonging to them. And in their bid to keep some of the proceeds, they went to under-declare what they had sold. So we have to acknowledge that corruption has been with us. But it appears to me that in Ghana, we have glorified it so much that if you don't join in that exercise, you are even seen as the odd one. And the fight against corruption has become only a lip service from one government to the next. So I think that the fight is so minimal, and corruption is very endemic and comes in many shapes and forms in this country.
Let's look at the shapes and forms. The National Anti-Corruption Plan adopts a long-term strategic perspective and utilizing the three-pronged approach to fight against corruption, namely the prevention, education, investigation, and then enforcement. Let's talk about education. Let's start from the basis, education. Do you think that we are reliably educated as a country on what corruption is?
We know what it is, but as a people, we have taken it to be normal. And that's the danger. That's actually the fear. Because the point is that if you ask any Ghanaian to give some kind of a working definition of what corruption is, I'm sure he will be able to give a number of examples that speak to the situation.
But I want to, has it yielded any results? Now you want to educate me on something that I've done over the years. So someone comes and then I'm a public servant and then I do things for them and then I get some backaches all the time. Now this is the approach that says I need to be educated on that is so wrong. You don't have to give that cut. I mean, do we understand that?
It's not as though we don't understand. We do. But I said that it has been institutionalized in such a way that the average Ghanaian thinks that it is normal. Okay, so it's not that we don't know the shapes and forms in which corruption exhibits itself. It's not that we do not know it is wrong, but it is that we have taken it to be normal. And that is a problem. So, and that's why, despite the education, we have not changed from it.
And then looking at enforcement, are we doing that enough?
I don't think so. I don't think we are doing enough to enforce it.
So you're saying that the three-pronged approaches has not yielded any results, in your opinion?
In my opinion, no. And to be honest with you, the fight against corruption must start from the individual. Once you know it is wrong, don't do it. Okay? I'm speaking from experience.
Tell me.
And you see, thankfully, I can be so bold to say it because I'm yet to get anybody who will come and tell me that you corrupted yourself in this or that. And that's why I would say that NDC did not fight corruption well. I am a member of parliament in this government. And for me, I have not seen that fight. I have not seen it. I'm yet to see that the government is taking steps. And in this, I would like to call on the president, especially in this pre-mix matter. They must look for who and who are behind it. We must show the way. We must show examples. And if those people are found culpable, they must be put before the court and dealt with. Because
so what's your take on it? They are taking their time. They want to investigate. They want to have enough evidence to prosecute.
Yes,
what's
of
your
course.
Take on it?
I believe in that one. You must take your time to make sure that you have unimpeachable evidence so that when you go to court, you can succeed in securing a conviction. Because the point is that by our jurisprudence, the accused person has nothing to prove. All he needs to do is to raise a reasonable doubt in the story that you bring. And so if your story has room for possibilities, and one possibility has some plausible advantage to the accused person, and he raises it, the court would give that benefit of the doubt to the accused person. So even though he may have committed the offense, because the evidence does not get to the standard required to secure a conviction, he may go off the hook. So to that extent, I agree with the suggestion that we must take our time in getting to the bottom of the matter, making sure that we have unimpeachable evidence. But I've always want to say my peace of mind the way I think it is. I think it is becoming too slow.
We have all the nice anti-corruption laws, and you can talk about the Public Procurement Act, Whistleblower Act, and Financial Administration Act, among others. And we have graft agencies like SHRAJ, Yoko, Financial Intelligence Center. Yet it seems we are losing the fight against corruption. Why is this the case?
Thank you very much. You see, it is not the number of institutions that we create. It is the willpower to deal with it. Okay? I have said that crime has no color. Okay? And so, if we want to fight corruption, these considerations of, or a party bah, he's this minister's son, or he's the nephew of this top man, he's the brother of our party financier, should be discarded. Once those considerations are discarded and we see the law or the application of the law to be blind, I'm sure we'll all fall in line. But for as long as those considerations weigh so much, on us. And for that reason, if a junior officer is even investigating a matter, he can get his superior officer to just ask him to stop, or probably issue some directive contrary to the conscience of that junior officer. For as long as we do that, forget it. So it's not the institutions that we create, it's the willpower.
No, but if we have the institutions who can actually enforce, why aren't we doing it then?
But the institutions are manned by human beings.
Yes.
And the human beings are not ready to do it. As simple as that. And we all take advantage of it. Every one of us, including myself. Right? So that's why I was saying that corruption comes in many forms. So for instance, if I have gone through red light, right? Somebody comes, oh, he's honorable, let's leave him. Right? I have taken advantage of my position. Okay, I may not have gone to steal anything, right? But I have taken advantage of my position. That may be on a very, very light side of corruption. But if we're talking about grand corruption, where people are using their offices to deny the state its coffers and all that, probably that's where your thinking is. To that extent, we need serious willpower.
Why do we just limit corruption to monetary side and ignore the others? So, as you said, using your position to influence a certain decision, that's corruption. But we mostly imagine corruption as the monetary or the financial aspect.
Good. We may have to sometimes let academic possibilities give way to practical realities. And the practical reality is that corruption in these forms, like influence peddling and all those kind of things, would never cease to occur, right? Because even in our cultural setup, something happens and you go to see some elderly person, okay, and that elderly person, because he has some overbearing influence on the conscience of probably the person who has been hurt, would speak to that person and he would say, oh, okay, because of you, I have.
That's corruption.
Okay,
can you give
that
practical?
may not be.
Right,
that's what I'm saying.
right.
That's what I'm saying. That if we are stretching it to its loose ends, then we include all these things, then it will still go on.
No, because you started by saying we are all part of the problem.
Sure.
Now, can you, from you being a lawyer and from where you sit, give us practical example. Let viewers understand. Oh, so if I do this and that, that's a corrupt act. Let's go by that.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, corruption comes in many forms. Okay, for instance, if you have the power to take a decision, and you're not going to take that decision because or unless the person affected by that decision comes to give you a bribe. Okay, that's corruption. Okay, or somebody does not qualify for a certain position, or on merit he's not there, but he pays his way through to get there. Okay, that is corruption. Now, beyond that, you can have people who probably will have to go through some kind of procurement for an entity. It could be the government, it could be a company, right? And then if it is about this cup, and then he can get it for 2 cities, he goes there, and then he gets into some kind of collusion with the seller. They inflate the price to, let's say, 4 cities. Oh, I've even made it 50%. So, 100% increment. So, from 2 cities to 4 cities. Then probably he parts with some few points of the city. I mean, few pesos to the seller, and he keeps the rest. That's corruption. Because usually corruption comes during procurement. So sometimes you realize that things that ordinarily you can procure from the market for a certain amount, if it is being procured on behalf of a company or on behalf of the government, you realize that the price is many times more than the price you would have secured it on the market. Let me give you an example of a situation that I face. I was just going to buy toner for a friend of mine. Then I got there. I asked for the price. The guy told me, but went ahead to ask me, how much should he write? I did not actually understand what he meant. So I pushed further. Then he asked me, or he told me that he felt or he thought I was going to give it to a company. So he thought we were going to increase the price. I said, no, I'm not going to give it to a company. But in any case, even if I was going to give it to a company, why do you think I should buy it at a different price from what you originally want to sell it? But that's one shade of it. And this is an experience I had myself. Okay? I had...
But yes, looking at all of that and we knowing the situation, that you said that your government, it's slow in fighting it. What are you expecting the government to do? What is it that you're expecting them to do?
Thank you very much. I was very much involved in the in the processes leading to the passing of the Special Prosecutor Bill. I'm sure the President may have signed it now to have the Special Prosecutor appointed and all that. Good. The question is, how much would the Special Prosecutor be able to do if we ourselves are not going to cooperate in that exercise? Because I can assure you that we can multiply the number of anti-graft institutions. But if we as a people do not make conscious efforts to change our lives and do things right, we won't get anywhere. Because if I'm doing some corrupt dealings in my room, how would anybody know? It may not get to the office of the Special Prosecutor.
It goes beyond that office. Does it go beyond that office?
I have not understood your question.
Does it go we're waiting for the Special Prosecutor, but does it go beyond that? So when he comes and then we as a people are not ready for it, then there's no need for that.
I have understood your question. It goes beyond the Special Prosecutor. Way beyond. And I'm saying that it's for us. But you see, it appears to me that in any transaction that people are going to do, the first question they ask is, what is it in it for me? What is it in it for me?
That is wrong.
Okay? And that becomes the motivation even to start. So even if it's going for the public, the question is, he first starts looking for the benefit he would get personally before he even gets motivated to move.
Who, the Special Prosecutor?
No, I'm not talking about the Special Prosecutor. I'm talking about Ghanaians generally.
Right.
The Special Prosecutor has not even been appointed. Okay? But the point is that we are only hoping that when he comes and he does his work without any affection or ill will towards anybody, okay, and the signals are sent out there, probably we'll sit up. But I still say that it has to do with ourselves. We must start from within. If we don't do that, it's wishful thinking.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are still watching The Hard Truth, and I still have with me Honorable Alexander Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency. What is Kom? What's your name?
Oh, Kom means hunger. I may have to give you some history of why my grandfather had that name, and then I had to also bear it. Otherwise, my grandfather's real name was Kodwo.
Kodwo.
Yes.
So your parents decided to give you Kom Hunger.
No. He was.
That has to be for another discussion.
Yes, he was called Kom.
Kom.
So when I was
named after him, right?
Then I was also given Kom. But my information is that his real name was Kodwo. But how he was named after hunger will be another time for discussion.
Yes. Moving on, the president of policy think tank Humani Ghana, Franklin Kodwo, says that the alarming rate of corruption in the country is due to the organizational structure of our state institutions, as many are forced to cut corners because of the many processes they go through and, to get things done. Do you think that's the case?
Yes, it is just an aspect of it. If you look at the structures that we have, ordinarily, they should work properly, right? But some way, somehow, we all try to take advantage of it. You see, if there is even a long chain and everybody is efficient and doing their work to make sure that things are done right, I don't think that would even be a reason why.
Kom.
Yes.
I don't know if I can call you Honorable Kom, but I think I like the name Honorable. But let's use the passport office for an example. Now I go there, I know I buy my form, fill the form, submit, and then in 3 weeks to a month, I should get my passport. The officials there, some officials there would want you to give something. I need to travel, so hence I pay. What of that?
Yes, I agree with you. In some areas, I think he's perfectly right. You see, I may have to just do some comparative analysis here. I had a benefit of living in the United States for some time, and I had my children there. We applied for passports. All we needed to do was to go to the post office, get the form, fill it there, pay the necessary fees, depending on how fast you wanted it, right? They will take it to wherever they have to do it. You don't follow up on anything. Then in 2 weeks, or 1 week, or 3 weeks, depending on how much you had paid for the service, they post it to your house. Simple. So you only visit the post office once, and that's it. Here, it has not been decentralized. Almost all of us have to come to Accra.
It is now. I think they have about 5
They have
centers
other
now,
places,
right?
but even then, they may have to carry everything to Accra for the
No, I think now it can be done in Kumasi, it can be done in the southern belt, the northern belt too.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Good. But the point is that if the process is free, transparent, and the people involved in the process are not looking for anything beyond their own salaries, they would carry it through. Unfortunately, they know that you are frustrated. You want it fast. And so you bring money. You bring money today. And maybe tomorrow you get your passport, even though you submitted the form today. Right? Let me give you an example. I'm doing a case for a friend of mine. It's a land case. I want to be sure that the land indeed belongs to him. So he says that you're going to do a search so to find out if his name, everything is there. He goes there, and then he comes to tell me that unofficial search shows that it's for him. But he has been told that the official result will come in 3 months. Then I asked him, if it's the same person who is going to look at it and get that same result, why is it that they cannot incorporate that result that he has just gone to see into an official document and bring to you? Why should the unofficial search yield the results in, let's say, some few hours, but the official one will take months? Does not give room.
Yeah, so can we also say that the workers are not empowered financially, hence cutting corners, by doing such things?
I can assure you that corruption is not, if I say, engineered by the paucity of the salary of the person. Look, there are people who have over and above what they need immediately, yet they will engage in corruption. It has to do with the person's mindset.
I see. But
Okay.
but you realize that one worrying aspect of, again, in fighting corruption in Ghana is a legal regime which makes the giver and the taker all reliable or liable for the criminal conduct. A citizen who is overly or covertly compelled by a public officer to pay monies before a critical service provided is considered as, an accessory to a crime. What then would motivate a victim of a corrupt practice of a public officer to report the incidents that he or she, will be dragged to the court and even criminalized?
It doesn't happen usually, but in some cases it does.
So let's say this. Let's using the passport as an example. So, Whistleblower Act. I've been asked to come and talk about it. Then I go and I say, oh, even me, when I needed a passport, I had to pay. And then the law says I have to be punished for that. So because I know that I'll be punished, I wouldn't go forth to say it.
Unless
So
you're,
what
unless you're
protects
going to
me?
do that as a coy.
Right. What protects me from, reporting but not getting arrested or impeached?
But you see, if you went there in that state of frustration, and you yourself, you are willing to pay, and the person is willing to accept, I don't see why you should be exonerated. Okay? I think the state of the law, the definition of corruption, and its intendment that both the giver and the receiver should be held criminally liable is fair, right? Otherwise, it will also be an avenue for blackmailing. You understand? So if that's what you genuinely wanted to do, and you have done it, you have corrupted yourself, just like the person who received it. So I don't see any...
And I should be punished, then I won't come and report.
I know that you will not come and report. I know. But I'm saying that in my practice, I saw in some situations where people who found themselves as victims, victims used here advisedly, went to report. And usually it had to do with visa racketeering, where they had been led on to be making some payments to some people on the pretext that they were going to get some visas for them and all those kind of things. Then, when everything falls through and they realize that no, we cannot get the visa anymore, then they decide to go and report. There have been cases that as the attorney for the defendant or as the attorney for the accused, I have asked the court to make an order that the complainant should also be put in the dock as an accused person. The reason being that you know how you secure visas, right?
So you decided to
the
pay
person
for
is
it.
not an embassy. Then you decide to go and see him and say that he should get certain documentation put together and all that. All you wanted was your passport coming with the visa embossed in it. Why do you think that you should encourage somebody to do that? And when things are falling through, you decide to now go and make a complaint. The question is, if the person had succeeded, would you have gone to make the complaint? No. So once you assisted a person in corrupting himself and corrupting the system, corrupting society, you yourself are equally culpable.
You should know what to do.
Sure.
Corruption is being, again, perpetuated in a system where you have the power to change, or those who have the power to change are mostly those, who are benefiting from the perpetuation. Do you see any clear way out?
I don't know. My prescription may sound far removed from reality, because sometimes I think that as a generation, we may not be able to root out corruption. Probably, we should start teaching the young ones who are coming not to follow our ways, right? Because it has become so endemic that in seeking political office, in seeking anything, you may have to do one unconventional thing or the other to get it, right? And society seems to have accepted it as a norm. And that's why I'm saying that if we are looking at using the processes as they stand to root out corruption, it's going to be difficult. I'm not a pessimist. Probably we may have what in Greek is called metanoia. We may all have change of heart, probably, and then we can get there.
Don't you think if the authority or the government, says that we are doing it and we are changing it, is that not possible? Can that be changed?
Oh, it will be a huge boost, okay? And we can all learn from that. But from where I sit, I don't see corruption being rooted out. The way we have been running our government, the way we have been running our politics over the years, with what I have seen, I don't think we are making any headway.
But let's look at this. The lens of corrupt practices are mostly targeted at the politicians, and much attention is not given to the public servants. Why do you see this as a trend?
From where I sit, I would say that probably the corruption perpetrated by the politician is only an infinitesimal point of the corruption perpetrated by the civil servants or the bureaucrats, if I should put it, or the technocrats and the bureaucrats, if I should put it that way. Because you see, when you go to the various ministries, the politicians do not even issue out any checks, right? They don't go through procurement themselves. It is the people down there who do it, right? Sometimes you may have the blessing of the politician or of the head there, but I have not been in any ministry as head there. But at least what I know is that if you don't take care, you go there as the head, they bring you a very nice package. Oh, there's some 100,000 for you. You get it, and then you realize that the civil servants are doing their own thing. But because they have been able to compromise you with that 100,000, you lose all moral rights to even question them. Okay? And you go there, you try to change this. That's how we have been doing things.
There's a trend here.
Okay, that's what you have been doing things.
Right, but a seasoned lawyer, law practitioner, Dr. Tuguba, believes that due to the limited resources available, corruption should be, concentrated on catching the big thieves rather than going in for the small thieves in face of limited resources. Should we be selective in fighting corruption?
I don't think so. It has to do with the propensity to do it. Because if you do it, if you have been given a small resource or a few resources to manage, and you can steal from that one, why do you think that when they give you a big one, you will not steal? So it has to do with the propensity to do it. Do we have the mindset to do it? And I'm saying that it appears to me that that is the case. You see, let us come home. As politicians, you are going for primaries. You may have all the best intentions for the people. You may have all the good policies. You may have all the nice ideas. You sell it to your people, they agree. But I can assure you that come the day of the election, if you don't try to
pay,
give them some money, forget about it, no matter how good you are.
Did you pay for something before being elected? What did you give them?
Yes, let me tell you. And it is something that we must face it now and start rooting it out. Otherwise, it will get to a point where we may have to elect, with all due respect, stupid people whose only reason for becoming politicians is that they are just rich.
Yes, so I'm asking, what did you give your constituents before electing you?
I remember very well that the day of the elections, and we were dealing with as many as 800 delegates, right? And poor me, I had to go and give each one of them 100 Ghana cedis as transport. You understand? You will call it as transport, but the thing is that you know very well that if you don't go and give this kind of transport, and some other person goes to give it, all that they will say is that, oh, this guy, he didn't bring us anything, we'll vote against him.
So what do you call your act? Was it fair, paying your delegates to vote? Was it a fair act?
The point is that it's not fair. It is not. And we must face it. And that is what is actually permeating into the system. You pay so much that you get into politics, and sometimes you may have to look for avenues to recoup. We are part of the system as a nation, and we must not be ostriches about these things. We must not play the ostrich. We must face the facts the way they are. It is only then that we can heal our nation. All right?
Before being elected into office, the NPP and President Nana Akufo-Addo and his government, accused the NDC government of massive corruption and promised to persecute those corrupt officials elected. Almost 1 year into office, we haven't seen any prosecutions yet. And all we hear is a rhetoric that, we should wait for the, officials or the special prosecutor to come in. Should Ghanaians, revise our expectations? Should we revise it?
Let me state here and now that the appointment of the special prosecutor is not a panacea for the fight against corruption at all.
So why does the government make it seem that way?
I have never made that point.
No,
that it is
not you, the government. Okay. So I'm talking about the government. So the government is saying that when that comes or when that happens, the process will start.
I'm hoping that it will. But like I said, I always want to speak my mind and sit well with my conscience.
Right.
Okay? It is not the appointment of the special prosecutor that is going to change anything. And so we have Yoko, we have we have the Attorney General, we have the police and all that. Whatever corrupt practices that are there, if we have been able to gather the evidence, go ahead and prosecute, right? Even before the special prosecutor.
So in 4 years, if you don't gather enough evidence, what happens? Or even in 3 years?
That will be very unkind to Ghanaians. And so, I have already told you that I think that the process has been very slow.
I see.
And I have also admitted that it is necessary anyway to make sure that you get your evidence right. But it appears to me
that is slow.
That the process of gathering the evidence so that people who are indeed culpable of any corrupt dealings.
But Honorable Kom, look at this. Honorable Osafo Mafo has, said that the government don't want to start the prosecutions in a hurry, but would rather take their time to investigate, But members of your party, castigated former President Mahama when he said that his government, cannot arrest and prosecute officials without following due course. Why is this government also now taking this stance?
Thank you very much. Let me tell you that it is always necessary to guard against hasty prosecution that would lead to the conviction of an innocent person, or where you hasten so much that you leave off the hook a person who is indeed guilty of the crime.
Yes, that was what former President Mahama said, but the NPP government before said, we will do it when we come, as soon as we come. But now,
I do acknowledge,
they've taken the same stance.
I do acknowledge that we must gather enough evidence. But I state it here now, without any fear of contradiction, that the process is too slow.
Political and grand corruption are mostly construed and perceptions which are not supported with any concrete evidence. How do you overcome this obstacle?
Perception will always be with us. Perception of corruption will always be with us. And sometimes you may not have evidence, right? That's why we have gut feelings. But of course, the law doesn't look at that one. But you realize that somebody goes into public office. Before he was going, probably all he had was this cap. And overnight, he is very rich, right? You don't have any concrete evidence to establish that he has corrupted himself. But at least the opulence that he may display is likely to convey to you that he may have corrupted himself. And that one will be driven by corruption more than by evidence. But the law deals with evidence than with just perception.
Well, can I ask you, how much have you made? I mean, are you better off when, not being MP or vice versa? Have you made much money or have you made any money at all?
I don't think I'm worse off and I don't think I'm better off.
So has politics helped you get or gain more? Or being
Not
in your
more
position
in terms of money, okay? But the fact that I've had the experience of serving my people, and because that was the motivation, I'm very much satisfied, okay? Unless, of course, one's thinking...
Let me rephrase. Being an MP, have you become rich, I mean, financially?
I understood your question.
Yes.
And that's what I explained. And I'm saying that...
No, but serving your people is one side.
Yes, but I've not become
getting
richer
the money.
I've not become richer than I was
when
I was in practice. And I must be very frank with you.
Apart from your practice, being an honourable MP to the Gomoa West, am I right, constituency, have you gotten much more money? I don't know where, how.
I have answered your question. I said that I have not got much more money than my practice could sustain me before entering into politics.
We'll be right back. You are still watching The Hard Truth, and I still have with me Honourable Kodwo Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency, with us here. Sir, I really want to know how independent, the Special Prosecutor's Office, will be in exercising his or her duty.
Thank you. It's some legal insulations that we have made like a hedge around him, okay? To the extent that he draws his power from the Attorney General, we cannot say that he is very, very independent. But what I want people to take from this is that it must not be conceptualized that, for as long as he draws his power from the Attorney General, he's not going to be independent. No. Otherwise, we may not even believe our own judges, because after all, they are appointed by some appointing authority, the president. So if you are appointed by one president, are you saying that you are not going to be independent? By the dictate of your own calling, you are required to be independent. So that thing must not be conceptualized. It must rather be seen as the character of the person so appointed, how he is going to exhibit that independence.
But again, Dr. Atuguba believes that under the current constitution dispensation, no prosecutor in Ghana could be legally independent. Isn't he right?
That's why I said that, yes, legally, right? But the point is that we have done it in such a way that after you have, the special prosecutor has received his authority, that authority of nomination from the Attorney General, and subsequent appointment by the President with prior approval of Parliament, that person is given security of tenure, and in the day-to-day activity, he is not under the control of the Attorney General, even though by the law he has periodic reporting regimes that he has to fulfill to the Attorney General. But it's not as though he will be there and the Attorney General will come and say that this case, prosecute it. This one, don't prosecute it. That one is my auntie's son. No. And I'm saying that, look, for society in general, if we allow systems to work, everybody probably may be independent, regardless of the fact that somebody appointed you. But you see, where we exhibit this hypocrisy is especially in the security services and probably in the police. Somebody is doing something, you get a call from your superior or from the IGP's office or from any top place. Hey, stop that, and that's it.
But what happens if someone goes to court to challenge the legalization authority of the independent special prosecutor's office after it has been operationalized?
Oh, thank you very much. It is the person's right to exercise. You see, from where I sit, I even thought that since the preparatory work for the possible or probable amendment of the Constitution has been done. By this, I mean the Constitutional Review Committee. They have already gathered all their evidence, they have submitted their report and all that. It may have been the basis for a further move to probably amend Article 88 of the Constitution. And that may have settled all the controversies surrounding the legality or otherwise of the Special Prosecutors Act. Okay, I was thinking that we could go by that route so that all the controversies would rest. Unfortunately, the bill was introduced, and all of us, I mean, from both the majority and the minority, those of us on the committee, we tried as much as possible as we could to do some kind of drafting or legal engineering to make sure that the final product does not sin against the provisions of the Constitution. We think we have done our best possible in the circumstance to skirt around all the constitutional bottlenecks, which may have given somebody the edge to go to Supreme Court to have that law declared null and void and, by reason of its unconstitutionality. So to that extent, yes. Dr. Atuguba, yes.
I think he also believes that.
He taught me at the law school, but I disagree with him on this, and I'm going to give you my reasons why I disagree with him.
Okay, go on.
You see, the police have no business in prosecution, right? Because it is not at their instance that prosecution is done. It's at the instance of the Attorney General. But the Attorney General has hived off part of its
exactly to the police.
To the police.
Right.
To do prosecution.
Yes.
It's in much the same way. You go to SNET, they have prosecutors there that deal with people who have failed to discharge their SNET continual payment obligations to them. You go to GRA, they also have that. And they all draw their power from the Attorney General, because by our constitutional structure, all prosecution is initiated at the instance of the Attorney General. In much the same way, the Special Prosecutor draws that power from the Attorney General. And then we have also given the Special Prosecutor the power to do investigation. So he combines the prosecutorial powers of the Attorney General plus the investigative powers of the police in discharging its functions. And because we do not want that kind of political inertia to be brought to bear on the work of the Special Prosecutor, we also made sure that he has security of tenure, so that in doing his work, he does not always look behind his shoulders to see who is there to pounce on him.
But let's look at it. Dr. Atuguba also, believes that the law establishes the office of the prosecutor that purports to be special or independent will be, past constitutional master in the Supreme Court.
I've already said that it is within the right of any citizen, any individual, to go and challenge it in the Supreme Court. I'm sure the Attorney General will lace his boots to marshal his argument to counter that. So we would not, I don't think anybody would stand in anybody's way if he wanted to go to the Supreme Court to challenge the constitutionality or otherwise. But if it is just for the sake of his independence and all that, the question is, what about these other organizations that I have given?
Sir, Shraj, Yoko, what makes the Special Prosecutor, special, and what will make it different from the others?
Shraj, they don't have the power to prosecute. Okay? Yoko, of course, they do. They all come under the ambit of the Attorney General. Okay? But in the case of the Special Prosecutor, we said that even in his day-to-day activity, the Attorney General cannot intrusively come in to either disrupt the flow of his work or...
But can the AG do that with Yoko and Shraj? Can the AG?
As things stand, yes.
I see. So in your view, what is the way forward in rooting out corruption in Ghana?
I've said it many times, and I cannot help but repeating myself, that rooting out corruption must start from the individual. It must start from the individual. If we are saying that we are going to let people achieve things on merit, I'm sure it will be a starting point. Okay? But you see, because resources are so limited, sometimes you see that we have to use our influence to get certain things for our people over and above others. Now, this police recruitment that is coming, I have got so many of applications, if I should put it that way, or so many requests. Oh, can you go and talk for me? Blah, blah. Somebody comes, it is clearly written there, disqualified, by reason of age, by reason of examination script or whatever it is, okay, results or something. Then I'll ask you, we have, let's say I've received about 50 people. I'm going to talk for all the 50. Why do you think that you don't qualify? But I should go and make a special case for you to be selected over and above somebody who qualifies. Then the person will be sitting there. Oh, I think it is time we stop playing the ostrich. Let's face it.
Can we win at all? Can we win the fight against corruption in Ghana?
We should. But I'm saying that it must start from the individual. If we always say, oh, we want to see the top doing some things, because we can also change, because we also, before we also change, sometimes we may not get there. The point is that you do things because it is right, and not because some other person is watching you.
Thank you very much, sir, for talking to the Hard Truth.
You're welcome.
Honorable Alexander Kodwo Kom Abban is the Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency, and he's also the Vice Chairman for Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee in Parliament. And you've been watching the Hard Truth. We want to know what is your own experience when it comes to corruption. We have social media platforms on your page or in the screen right now, and we want to know what you have gone through or what's even happening at your place of work. My name is Nana Akosia Konidwa Santi-Samuels, and thank you so much for watching. We'll catch a repeat of the program tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye.